Guys, brace yourselves because today in this live stream, I'm going to be talking about Captain Davy and indeed Scientology's unwanted erection. And here is a picture of said erection. This is the marquee that the Church of Scientology put up in the grounds of St. Hill Manor, their UK headquarters. It is a huge unwanted erection in Sussex. It is 45,000 square feet to be precise. This is a picture taken from inside the venue, and they have applied for not planning permission, but a lawful development certificate. Essentially, the Church of Scientology is saying that they don't need planning permission for this huge structure because they've been using it for 10 years. And to be honest, I think it's quite shameful that they're using this excuse, especially as it doesn't fall in line with planning law. Under the UK planning legislation, the rule is that if you have a building, a structure that is in place for 10 years or more, and there's no planning enforcement against it, you're entitled to keep that property or that building, that structure, without any further planning permission needed. And that's the rule that Scientology are trying to use. However, it doesn't apply to temporary structures that are put up and taken down every year, which is what happens in the case of Scientology's marquee. The marquee isn't there all year round. It's just there for a couple of months. But nonetheless, it is huge and it breaks the planning rules around the size of temporary structures that you're allowed to have on your property. So instead of applying for planning permission, Scientology are just saying we've got the right to do it because we've been doing it for 10 years. So we're going to be looking at Scientology's application. I have mentioned it on my channel before, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth into the application itself, the documents, and of course, the outcome of today's East Grinstead Town Council Planning Committee meeting, where I asked a question. But first, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. SP Crusader Leni is here. Thank you so much for joining. We have Luna saying, hey, Alex and stream. Mark the Dorset SP here. John is saying, hello, chat and mods. Luna already coming in with the oh dear. And indeed, Mark, yes, the other day we were talking about the bush being trimmed, and now we're talking about the unwanted erection. I couldn't resist the pun. You've got to find reasons to laugh in this very otherwise serious subject. Big Brother fan Becky is saying Dave's unjustified pride in his erection. Lisa Terry, good evening. They have their own rules, though, Alex. Exactly. Petrina, hello everyone. Hello, thank you so much. Okay, let's take a little look at this. First, let's look at the question that I raised. This is from the planning meeting that only just finished. It started at 7 o'clock, so an hour and 20 minutes ago. And here is the question that I asked East Grinstead Town Council. Let me zoom in here, and we should be able to see.
Mr. Barnes-Ross, thank you very much.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Right, thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. So my question relates to item 16 on the agenda, to make observations as may be necessary in respect of planning applications in Appendix D. In relation to St. Hill's lawful development certificate application, which is listed in Appendix D under the reference number DM251292, a number of local residents have contacted me wishing to voice their concerns, but due to Scientology's well-documented history of attacking and harassing critics, they are afraid of repercussions should their addresses or personally identifiable information be attached to their comments, which is required as part of the Mid-Sussex District Council Planning Portal comments procedures. So would the council consider representing these residents' views on their behalf, or ensuring that there's a way to protect them from harassment by redacting their address information from the public record? Now, before I go any further, I just want to clarify something here. For those of you who aren't familiar with the way planning works in the UK, there are several different tiers of local government in the United Kingdom. There's obviously the Parliament in Westminster that deals with the national legislation, government, that sort of stuff. And then you have tiers below that. So we have West Sussex County Council. Then underneath that, you have Mid Sussex District Council. And then you have at the smaller parish level, East Grinstead Town Council. So planning applications are reviewed by Mid Sussex District Council. However, as it's in East Grinstead, the Town Council have a say in planning applications and usually hold planning committee meetings to put their comments and thoughts forwards for Mid Sussex District Council to take into consideration. So this is not the council that is actually reviewing and going to decide whether to approve or deny Scientology's application for a lawful development certificate. This is the council below that, East Grinstead Town Council. So I was asking them, would they, as part of their response to Scientology's planning application, consider voicing the concerns of local residents who are scared of the repercussions, the fair game that they receive for being critical of Scientology? And this is their response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barcross. So in response to that, I will make clear, first of all, that we don't expect to discuss this application in detail unless someone indicates to me otherwise. In response to your question specifically, planning must be done in the public domain and trumps private interest. All parties are entitled to see how decisions are made, and this must be demonstrated with transparency. Planning demands that individuals make their own representations in order for the weight of evidence to be seen and accurately considered. The Town Council also has a duty to act transparently and in the public interest. Any need for anonymity should be negotiated directly with the planning authority, Mid Sussex District Council. A legal development certificate is determined purely on legal grounds, so unless there is a material legal evidence to be considered for submission, the Town Council will not be making any comment on this particular application. The Town Council will only consider making a factual statement based on publicly available information and planning history, and this will be based on their position only. We hope this answers your question. Thank you very much.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, so that is their response. So for anybody who is watching this that lives in or around East Grinstead and you want to comment on Scientology's application for a lawful development certificate, and you are afraid of Scientology coming after you, and you're afraid of the harassment that you may receive as a result of speaking out against Scientology's application, please be assured that if you submit your comments to Mid Sussex District Council and request anonymity, they will review that. That is what East Grinstead Town Council are saying, is please make your representations, but please note that you want anonymity. And in the past, Mid Sussex District Council have done that. They have redacted people's information from Freedom of Information Act requests and so on to protect their privacy. So you do have a right and the ability to comment on the application without your name or address being a part of the public record. But it is important also to note that only local residents really can supply comments. If you live outside of East Grinstead, or you don't work in East Grinstead, or you don't represent the views of people in East Grinstead, it's likely that your comments won't hold or carry much weight because you're not a local resident. Completely understandable. But if you are a local resident, please make sure you email Mid Sussex District Council with your comments and make a note that you are afraid of repercussions if you are to leave a comment, rather than doing it through the planning portal. The planning portal should be your first port of call if you have any comments on it. But if you're afraid of the repercussions, email the council. That's what East Grinstead officially said. And what was interesting is what happened afterwards. When it came to the actual item on the agenda, there was only one point of discussion, really. Now, interestingly, the only person that had any comments was this guy here, Rex Whitaker. Rex Whitaker is a former mayor of East Grinstead. And to be honest, I'm surprised he didn't recuse himself from this meeting, because Rex is somebody who has attended events at St. Hill. Indeed, there is a video of him on the Scientology website shaking hands with Dave Miscavige in a propaganda video. So I would imagine that that would put him in a place where he would have to declare an interest in this matter and therefore exclude himself from commenting on the application. But that's not what happened today at East Grinstead Town Council at the meeting for the planning committee. Also, this is the guy that when I met with him at the annual town meeting not too long ago, he promised that he would meet with me and perhaps other survivors of abuse inside Scientology and hear our concerns about St. Hill and Scientology's operation there. And he only then further retracted that offer when I emailed him and said that he has no interest in meeting us whatsoever. So this is the guy that is somebody who is well respected in East Grinstead, and I do understand and appreciate his comments, but it is a shame that the meeting fell through, and it is a shame that he didn't exclude himself from the meeting. But nonetheless, this is what he had to say.
It's a long-standing protocol that this committee, as you said in your introduction, does not comment on LDS. Because it's legal technical issues and that's complex. Yeah. It's always dealt with by us.
course, yeah, and an administrative issue to do with dealt with by the local planning
Yeah.
authority manager.
As every single area of the council.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
So, very valid comment there, that because a lawful development certificate is not a planning application, it is something that is a legal matter, and therefore, as a matter of process and protocol, the East Grinstead Town Council don't generally comment on such things because they want to leave it up to the lawyers and the higher ups at Mid Sussex District Council. Completely valid comment. I don't think there was any harm done by him speaking at this meeting. I just wanted to note the fact that he does feature in a Scientology propaganda video that is currently available on Scientology TV and on their website. But nonetheless, that's the information from today's council meeting. Let's have a look at the application, because although the application was submitted in late May, it's only in the last couple of days that further information documents have been uploaded to the Mid Sussex District Council planning portal. And I wanted to go over one particular document with you, which is from our friend Janet. Hi, Janet. We know Janet watches these videos, so hello to you. I hope you are well. And if you do ever change your mind about Scientology and you want to leave, or you need help setting up a new life outside of Scientology, please consider contacting the Aftermath Foundation. They have a UK helpline. Their website is aftermath.help, and they will help you out with whatever you need in escaping Scientology. Even though you are the director of the Office of Special Affairs, everybody should be given a fair chance at living a new life and escaping Scientology. And that includes you, Janet. Anyway, let's have a look at this declaration that was submitted, and this is viewable. You can download it yourself if you want to from the Mid Sussex District Council planning portal, and this is what was submitted by the church in relation to their lawful development certificate. Statutory declaration of blank Laveau in support of application for lawful development certificate blank of Walsh Manor, Walshes Road, Crowborough. That's the SEALG berthing, by the way. So any SEALG staff that are working at Scientology St. Hill headquarters, they live at this address here, Walsh Manor. It's a communal berthing location in East Sussex, about half an hour, 45 minutes away from St. Hill. Do solemnly and sincerely declare as follows. I am a trustee of the applicant, meaning trustee of the Church of Scientology, and make this statutory declaration in support of an application for an LDC, respect of an existing use relating to land at St. Hill Manor. The position of this land is shown outlined in red on the plan submitted with this application. The land is in a field immediately adjacent to a building known as St. Hill Castle, which is a Scientology church and registered place of meeting for religious worship. In October 1984, the International Association of Scientologists, the IAS, was founded at St. Hill Manor. An annual event is held at that time of year to celebrate the anniversary of the founding of the IAS, which draws thousands of Scientologists and visitors from around the world. The event takes place over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It culminates with a charity concert on the Sunday evening, which raises money for local charities. The land has been used for the IES event since October 2005. Large marquees have been erected on the land for this purpose. Once the IES event is finished, the marquees are dismantled and removed from the site. Now, this is what I find particularly interesting about this whole planning situation, is the lawful development certificate, as I mentioned earlier, is only something that applies if a building has been in continuous use for 10 years. The structure has not been there for 10 years. It's only there for a couple of months every single year. It is there for longer than the 28 days that you're allowed to have temporary structures under planning law without applying for permission. But it's not there all year round, every year, and has been there for 10 years. It's there for a very short period of time. It's intermittent. It's a temporary structure. And so the lawful development certificate is not something that can be applied to a temporary structure. That's my understanding of planning law from the people that I've spoken to. So it's really interesting that that's the excuse Scientology are using. And the only thing that I can pin it on is Scientology's mentality that they have the right to do anything they want to, irrespective of the laws of the land. It's a point of this inflated sense of ego that Scientology have. They're not saying, let's apply for planning permission and let's get it. They are saying we don't need planning permission because we're Scientology, is effectively their point. Now, I also want to preface this by saying I actually don't have an objection to Scientology applying for planning permission, right? It is a big local event and it does cause a lot of disruption to the local community. It causes a lot of traffic issues on the road. And I personally believe that if those things were managed, Scientology should have the right to hold an event if they want to on their property. They do have a premises license, but they need to abide by the same rules as everybody else. And that's my problem here. My problem is Scientology aren't applying the rules. They aren't abiding by the rules they need to. And that's why I have an issue with it. If Scientology were to apply for planning permission, they would likely get it. And I would support it because they have a right to hold an event on their land. I don't have an issue with it. I have an issue with what they do at the event. I have an issue with the fraud and the manipulation, the lies, the deceit, and of course, the abuse and harassment that goes on at these events. I have an issue with the disruption these events cause to the local community and to the roads. I have an issue with the harassment that Scientology engages in against anybody who protests outside the event. But in terms of planning law, I don't have an objection to them building this huge marquee on their property to host this event, as long as they follow the rules, as long as they apply for planning permission, and as long as they sort those issues out, such as the disruption. If they were to do those things and apply for planning permission, I imagine they'd get it because there's no reason why they wouldn't get it. But applying for a lawful development certificate is another matter entirely, and they don't meet the criteria for a lawful development certificate, in my opinion. Anyway, let's carry on. The land has been used for the IAS event since October 2005. Large marquees have been erected on the land for this purpose. Once the IAS event is finished, the marquees are dismantled and removed from the site. Yes, so it's temporary. They're admitting that it's a temporary structure. Submitted with this application are photographs taken each year at the IAS event, which was held on the land from 2005 to 2024. This application seeks a lawful development certificate for an existing use under Section 191 of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990. The use in question involves the annual erection. Sorry, guys, I can't help myself here. You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. The annual erection of a large temporary marquees on the land for the purposes of hosting the IES event. The marquees are erected each year for the IES event in October and in 1 year at the start of November. The erection takes several weeks. I swear I'm an adult, I swear. Including rehearsals, the actual use occurs for approximately 1 week. Dismantling and restoration of the land takes about a month. The annual event has occurred on the land since 2005, consistently in the same format and for the same purpose. The only exceptions to this continuous pattern occurred in 2013, when although preparations were started, the main marquee was not available in time. Now, I take issue with that because that is what we call in Scientology an acceptable truth. It's not quite a lie, but it's a twisting of the facts to make it sound like something it isn't. So 2013 is the year that the Superpower building was released and the Keeping Scientology Working, the big KSW event, the release of the Golden Age Tech Phase 2. I was on staff at this time. I remember this event. And that event was held in the same time as the IES event. It was all bundled into one, if I recall correctly. And it happened over at Flag. It was the first time that I think I know of that the IES event itself was held over at Flag in Florida, Scientology's Clearwater, Florida headquarters over in the US, rather than at St. Hill. Now, it was always planned for that event to take place in Florida. They even shipped the marquee across the Atlantic so that they could use the same structure they normally use, but on their property over in Florida. So it is true that the marquee was not available, but it is a slight twisting of the facts for Janet here to explain that the reason it wasn't held on the land in the UK is because the marquee was unavailable. No, it was planned that the marquee wasn't available. It was planned the event wouldn't take place in the UK that year. So this blows their whole argument out of the water because that was less than 10 years ago. And that means that even if the criteria was met for the temporary structure to be in place for 10 years and therefore they can apply for a lawful development certificate, even if that was considered to be an acceptable use of that exemption to planning law, it falls through on this one fact here, because yes, there's an exemption under the COVID laws, you know, events weren't allowed to take place and so on, and that's out of their control. But this year, 2013, was actually within their control, and they didn't hold the event on the land on purpose. So they're twisting the facts here. They're making it sound like it's out of their control, and that's why they didn't hold the event that year, which is a lie. Anyway, and during the years 2020 to 2022, during which the event was suspended due to the COVID pandemic and associated restrictions on public gatherings, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a public health emergency of international concern on the 30th of January 2020, marking the highest level of alert under international law. This status remained in effect for over 3 years until 5th of May 2023. Thank you, Janet, for pointing that out, because, you know, it's not like we all lived through that and remember that very well. I submit that this short break in activity does not break the continuity of use for the purposes of an LDC based on established planning principles. The Planning Inspectorate and courts have recognised that temporary and involuntary suspensions, particularly those caused by government restrictions, do not constitute abandonment of use. Yes, and that's why it's important that you lie about the year 2013, because that was not a temporary and involuntary suspension. That was a suspension completely within your control that was designed to happen based on you wanting to hold the event abroad. Anyway. Accordingly, the use of the land, the use has been ongoing for a period exceeding 10 years and has thereby become lawful through the passage of time pursuant to section 191 subsection 2 of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990. I respectfully request that the local planning authority issue a lawful development certificate confirming that the use of the land for this annual temporary event is lawful, having become immune from enforcement action due to more than 10 years of continuous, albeit temporarily interrupted use. Should the authority need any more information, don't contact me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. So that was the statement from Ms. Laveau, and attached to it was a number of pictures. Some of these are from Scientology propaganda materials and flyers and things like that we've seen before, but some of them are new photos we have never seen before from inside the IAS tent, and I wanted to share them with you because it's very interesting. Now, a preface to this is a publicly available document that is uploaded on the Mid Sussex District Council website as part of a planning application. This is available to view and download by anybody at any time on the internet. So this is the Jivases performing on stage. We have this picture here of the castle, and you can see the size, the scale of this erection. It's absolutely huge and unwanted. This is a giant unwanted erection. It's not some small structure in the middle of nowhere. It dwarfs the castle. It's huge. Here are some pictures of people on stage at the charity concert, including the Jivases, who of course are a Scientology band. Here's a picture from 2009, the 25th anniversary of the IAS. Another picture from inside the tent, and you can see there that's the CCHR logo, the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, which is one of Scientology's many front groups. Another one here, not the best picture. You can't really see the scale of the erection, but you can see that there is an event going on inside of it. Another picture here. So look, they're not massively interesting, but there are some new pictures that we've not seen before. And again, just to show the scale, the size of this enormous unwanted erection. We have people standing out the front of it here, taking a picture with the erection. It's huge. You can't miss it, really. And here's some promo materials. Interestingly, it appears that this has been edited. This is talking about the agenda for the 30th anniversary, which I think was 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And I wonder if it's been edited because an SP was on the lineup. I'm just guessing here. I need to look it up. But if you look carefully here, when they're talking about the IES event itself, it's one font. And if you compare the font to this charity concert on the Sunday, can you see there? It's only a slight difference, but the text is not quite as bold. It's a little bit slimmer than the text above, and it looks like it's been edited. As in, it's been added after the fact to try and cover up the fact that an SP was on the lineup. I may be wrong. I haven't double checked that fact, but it's just something I wanted to note. So I will look into that and report back. Then we have here another picture. This is one that we've seen before. This is a picture of the erection dwarfing the castle. And then we have the 2015 charity concert here with an invitation. And then we have, look, I think this is another thing that's cheeky, is these are screenshots of news articles that they've included to make it look like the press are reporting on the good local community work that Scientology are doing. But if you look carefully, the screenshot is from their own press release that they submitted to a newswire. It's not actually an article from from a valid news organization. And again, here, Pathos, that's a press release submission website. This is not a genuine article about the event. This picture here is sideways, but again, you can see just in the corner here, this is the refectory, the new building that was built like a cafe for people to buy and eat food and drinks and such. And then in the background, you can see the big erection. And then this is inside the structure here from 2019. So you can see how many thousands of people fit inside this building. It is not a small endeavor. This is a huge blight on the local environment, and it is a huge structure. So it's not like we're talking about a small marquee that's used to hold a wedding. We're talking about a giant 45,000 foot structure here. Another picture here, which is taken from the Scientology website for 2023. And here's a picture 2024. Again, here is my disclaimer. This is a picture from a publicly available document uploaded to Mid Sussex District Council's planning portal. And you can see here 2 Scientologists. I actually know who one of them is. And the one on the right is actually the Director of Special Affairs at the Church of Scientology, London. This is an OSA agent posing with a British flag outside the IAS marquee last year for the 40th anniversary, and she was at the gates only moments before or perhaps after this photo is taken, filming and recording us protesters, and she is playing a pivotal role in my harassment and ongoing fair game campaign. So anyway, those are the pictures. That's the update on Scientology's planning, or rather lawful development certificate application. If this doesn't go through, which I highly suspect it won't, because the use of the building, the structure, has not been continuous for 10 years. They will need to apply for planning permission, which I encourage Scientology to do, and I will even submit a comment in support of it if they meet the criteria of ensuring that people aren't harmed or abused in the building, people aren't financially extorted, there's no fraud going on, and they handle the disruption to the local community and traffic problems. But that's the update. Let's have a look at some of your comments as we've been going through before we start to wrap up. Danielle Chamberlain's in the house. Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much for joining. Hi. Luna says, is this the same gatekeeper of the wine chamber? This was in reference to the video from the council meeting. No, it was a different person. So that was the previous former mayor of East Grinstead, and the chair of the planning committee was another councillor. So no, it wasn't, but it is the same council and the same room indeed. Becky, Big Brother fan, says Rex loves being wined and dined by Scientology. Yes, and he has done so in the past. And respect to Rex Whittaker, because at Mid Sussex District Council level, he sits on the scrutiny committee that is reviewing the Public Spaces Protection Order, the proposed ban on protesting outside St Hill, Scientology's UK headquarters. Rex is a part of that scrutiny committee. And when that was being considered way back when, he actually declared an interest and said, I've been to events at St Hill and I don't think it's right for me to have a say in this application, which I fully respect. So well done to Rex for that. And I wish more councillors would follow suit in declaring their pecuniary interests when it comes to Scientology. Haggis Basher is saying, hi, Janet. Becky Big Brother saying, hey there, Janet. Yes, we do love Janet here. Much respect to anybody who wants to leave Scientology, including Janet. If she wants to leave, we'll help her. Howard Taylor Esquire says East Grinstead Town Council have no say whatsoever, and normally the District Council doesn't pay attention to them, and anonymity is not allowed either. Yeah, and look, this is just a point of procedure and protocol, and when it comes to East Grinstead Town Council's close relationship with the Church of Scientology, I wanted to make sure our views were heard, and we will use any opportunity to have our voices heard at the East Grinstead Town Council level. Whether or not East Grinstead Town Council's views are listened to or heard by by Mid Sussex District Council. It is important for us to get our voices across to East Grinstead at that local level, and that's why it was important that we spoke at this meeting. Leanie here is saying, please remember to hit that like button and consider buying Alex a coffee. Thank you. Yes, if you want to support the channel, you can use PayPal or buy me a coffee. There's links in the description. And yeah, press like and subscribe. It helps me and the channel out. SP Crusader Leanie says, twisting the facts, never. I know. What an absolute shocker, right? And then following that up with temporary continuous use. Yeah, this is why Scientology application just doesn't make sense, because in order for an LDC to work, it needs to be continuous use. And yet Scientology is saying it's temporary use, but it's being continuous. The logic is completely gone. And this is from an organization that claims to be the most logical group on planet Earth, which I just think is hilarious, really. Luna says, all created by enforced labour. Yeah, precisely. The SEALG, who are part of making the erection happen, are all modern slaves for all intents and purposes. They are paid £50 a week for 14, 16, 18-hour days, 7 days a week with no time off. They are provided communal birthing. They are bussed to and from the property, and they are put in ethics. They are punished if they dare speak out or do anything wrong or the statistics fall. So yes, slave labor is absolutely a part of this erection. Peter Anderson says, lol, but a choice. Mark the Dorset SP says, so many innuendos, so little time. I know, I couldn't resist. Becky Big Brother, the erection is too big in relation to the few people attending the IAS. Yeah, precisely. They could even scale back the size of the structure, right? If the tent was smaller, it could fit within the guidelines. That means that they don't have to apply for planning permission, and this whole problem would go away. And if it was smaller, it would be more appropriate for the attendance at the event gets. So because Scientology are in denial about how small their group is and how fast it is shrinking, they're not going to use a smaller structure, even though it would help them legally and in this planning situation. Nonetheless, we will persevere. Luna says, isn't this another failed attempt at driving the actual point home, fumbling in the judicial dark? Yes, precisely. You put it excellently, Luna. This is another example of Scientology refusing to play by the rules and making a big fuss out of nothing. And if they were to actually apply for planning permission, all of this would have gone away. None of this would have happened, and they would have quietly been given planning permission, and there wouldn't be people objecting to it, and there wouldn't be a debate here on YouTube. So it's all their own doing, their own making. New Name says, too much tent pitching talk. Exactly. Eaglewood says the marquees on a music festival are smaller. 100%. There are marquees that are bigger. There are marquees that are smaller. But generally, music festivals in the UK do make use of smaller event structures. Exactly. Even though their attendance is much higher. SP Crusader Leanie says, consider getting a membership for an absolutely amazing members only content. Yes. So a note on that, if you want to support the channel through memberships here on YouTube, I don't like the idea of excluding people from content based on financial reasons. So all of my content that's members only will eventually be made available for all to consume, so you don't have to donate to view it. However, there is currently a video on my channel that is only available to view by members who have subscribed and paid a 99p channel subscription, I think it is, or is it 1.99? Don't know, the lowest level, let me put it at. If you support the channel that way, you'll get early access to this video, and it's got some great comments, and I think it's quite an important video. So if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. If not, you can just wait, and I will make it publicly accessible in due course for everybody else. And of course, like I said, PayPal, buy me coffee, all that stuff. Scientology up north. Hi, Miriam. She says, hi, Alex. I heard there was a talk about huge erections, so I came to see what it's all about. Look, people from all over the world are coming to hear about David Miscavige's unwanted erection. This is just brilliant. And Sunrise Joy Learn Daily says, I'll have a final count in the comments. Yes, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Look, that's it from me for now, for a little bit, because I am busy working at music festivals at the moment. I had a little bit of a break today, but I will be back in the field tomorrow. So please bear with me if you don't see any content from me in a couple of days. I've not gone missing. I am just working. But I will keep you informed about any other updates regarding this unwanted erection. And as always, if you want to support the channel, please consider buying me coffee or using the like button. That's the most effective way of supporting this channel, is getting this video out to more people by engaging with it. I love the live chat feature. It is fantastic. But if you do get a moment after the live stream finishes, please leave a comment down below underneath the video as well, because that helps push the video out to more people. And the more people that are aware of Scientology's abusive practices and harassment and intimidation of critics and former members, the better. So thank you so much, guys. I will catch you on the next one.